what's up, you guys? You are chilling with your girl Sequoia on BE The Code, and we are here with special guests Matt and Warren from Toasted Life. How are you guys doing?
Hey.
What's up?
Glad to be here.
I'm super excited to have you guys on the show. You guys have been doing some crazy things up in the Bay. So tell me a little bit about Toasted Life.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, you want to go for it?
It's a long story. Sequoia, you want to hear this full story? You want to hear like...
You tell me, like, however you want to break it up.
Cool. So Warren and I, we actually went to school together in Atlanta. So we went to Morehouse College. Okay. And at Morehouse, there's like this sense of community. Okay. Right? A lot of it's around just the culture of the school, you know, music, lifestyle, that whole thing, right?
Leadership, service.
The whole thing.
List can go on and on.
Okay.
Yeah. So we moved to the Bay, actually several times. I came first, Warren came, I think maybe a year later.
Okay.
But when we were going out, we just felt like there was something missing. It kind of felt like there really wasn't this sense of like camaraderie, community. We also weren't really feeling the music at the time. No offense to Bay Area music.
I mean, but coming from Atlanta, like, you know, it's
right,
definitely tough with that transition. You know what I mean? We used to Lil Jon.
Right.
We used to, you know, Future, and also we got to come and, you know, it just wasn't the vibe we were looking for. So.
Okay. So what made you guys go, okay, I now want to start this like entertainment company in the Bay?
Yeah.
It was really just a need, like Matt was saying, you know, didn't feel like inclusive, you know, being transplants, not being from the Bay. So we were trying to like kind of connect more with our network in really authentic ways. So we just decided like, hey, you know, if something doesn't exist that we like, you know, we got to create it ourselves.
Right.
And that was kind of what started the whole thing. So, you know, I just remember me and Matt, we were actually in Jack London Square. We were just like talking, like brainstorming, like, you know, what can we do? Okay. And next thing I know, it was like kind of like I think the day after Super Bowl, and we went over in Oakland to a venue and had a conversation, and they gave us a shot.
All right.
And we threw our first day party like probably like a couple weeks or a month later, and talk about nervous. Talk about nervous, you know. Right. It was crazy, but just being able to provide that opportunity for people to come out, people celebrate their birthdays with us, and you know, we just called it Toasted. And again, we didn't really necessarily know what we were doing, but we just did it, and from there, like, just something started to unravel.
That's dope. And go ahead.
I was gonna say, the funny thing about that story too, it was like, I think it actually was Super Bowl, like literally the day of. So like I stumbled upon this venue maybe the day before that, and I was like, yo, this venue's like right near my house. Like, how come I haven't been there, right? Okay. So Warren's like, let's go check it out, right? The game was over. We rolled through. And
this was the year of the power outage when Beyonce took the power out.
Yeah.
Ravens and the Niners. Yeah, that was 4 years ago.
Yep. So we came into this venue and we're like, yo, this is a dope spot, right? We're like, yo, who's the owner? So we went up to I think the waitress, and she's like, the owner's right there. We literally just wanted her to point out the owner, right? But she's like, I'll go grab him. Grabs him, brings him back. And he's like, yeah, how can I help you guys? And like, literally, we weren't ready to like give him the pitch. And then we're like, I look at Warren, we're like, wait, are we like, we have to pitch like our
We're like, yeah, we throw house parties. Yeah, you know, do this back in Atlanta, it was lit.
Yeah, so he literally brings us to this back room and closes, you know, like intimidating club, closes the door, brings his like his other owners, like, what's going on? He's got a security guard in there too. We're like, oh crap. It's like, what do you guys do? Like, tell me. And we're like, we're just on the fly, just spitting out stuff, and like, we probably sounded crazy.
It was
oh my gosh.
Talk about an interview.
Yeah, but literally he gave us a shot, and that was like literally the moment that, you know, like day one. So
perfect. And you guys are both in tech. So you're at Apple and you're at YouTube.
Yep.
So then did your audience become like this tech audience, or like who was the people who came to this thing?
I mean, I think it was a mix of everyone. I mean, it wasn't until like our second event that we really started to realize that like this is something people were looking for. And, you know, of course, we reached out to our friends and people from our companies and stuff like that we worked for. And like when we started to like connect with them, we realized that like, oh snap, such and such is working over at Twitter, such and such is over at Google. We got a whole like Google network that's coming through, Facebook, you know, a bunch of, you know, startups. And it wasn't necessarily just tech. I mean, there was people, that are in grad school, people that are, going after their law degree,
right.
doctor's degrees and stuff like that. So we just realized like, okay, we got something special here and we just got to keep going and figure out what we really want to do.
Awesome. So. And so with that, what made it start to grow and scale? How did you guys get to that point? Because now it's like a huge thing in the Bay. Everybody knows Toasted Life.
You want to talk about the first night?
Day one?
The seller, how we just took over.
Yeah.
I think that's what did it.
Okay.
So it was funny. Like, again, we did our first event, right? And like people started coming up to us. They're like, yo, you guys do this every week, right? And we're like, every week? Like people want this every week? That was literally, potentially a one-off event, right? And we weren't going to even like replicate it.
Okay.
Potentially, right? So like, yo, we want more of this, right? So we started building an audience. We really started making sure that, like, getting back to the tech piece, right? We knew that our audience was a reflection of us, right? Young professionals in tech. We wanted to make an extension of that too. But we really like went after and owned that niche, and people kind of like gravitated towards that, right? And the cool thing was a lot of people, maybe they're interning in the Bay, they went back to the East Coast. They were talking about Toasted Life, and we started scaling out naturally without even strategically doing it.
Okay.
But yeah, it just kind of blossomed from there.
So then because I know you're in the Bay, you've done LA, where else have you guys scaled to?
Yeah.
Chicago.
Oh, dope.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
We've actually done a lot of events in Chicago. Started last year, around March. So this is our second year in Chicago. Okay. It's really like a very, very great community to be a part of out there.
Okay.
They kind of have a similar situation where they're very, their neighborhoods are very segregated in the sense of kind of distance, and the young professional crowd, they're just dispersed.
Okay.
So kind of being a central hub for kind of a new flavor of entertainment has been refreshing, I know, for people there, and it's been exciting for us to just experiment and see what sticks, what doesn't stick as we continue to go to different cities. So, we're actually thinking about, New York. We got something lined up in March.
I see that.
So, we're just, again, being intentional about what we want to do, and making sure that the community that is engaging with us is we have their back from jump, and, they've always had our back. So, just continue to connect everybody together.
Perfect. And so being at Apple and YouTube, your diversity and inclusion, and then your partnerships. How do you balance the two? Because those are not fly-by-night jobs. So how are you balancing this massive events company and then having real tech jobs?
I mean, for me, it's diligence, trying to, find opportunities where, you're not getting bogged down in the process in both situations. And honestly, sometimes it's a challenge. Sometimes you sleep less.
I feel that.
Especially when things are coming down to the wire. But, again, if it's something that you love and you're passionate about, sometimes it doesn't feel like work.
Okay.
And, like I said, I try to keep my my head above water as much as possible, and just make sure that I'm managing my deliverables and being realistic with what I can deliver.
Okay.
So that's where people get caught up. You try to do too much, and then you end up you end up drowning. So that's something me and Matt kind of discussed in terms of our to-dos and what do we want to focus on this week? What are we doing this month? And as long as we kind of have a very, very stringent timeline and a plan, it kind of helps me for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's helpful just to have a co-founder in general, right?
Yeah.
I think with any business, and we were kind of reflecting on this earlier. You look at a lot of the largest companies in the world, right? A lot of them had at least two people, right? Whether it's the Procter and Gamble's or the Ben and Jerry's, right? Literally, you just even within their name.
That's great,
right?
That was really nice.
Ben and Jerry's top of the ice cream pyramid there, but I think it definitely, when it comes to strengths and where they overlap, that synergy, but also being able to unload when you have too much work to your co-founder, right? And we always have each other's back, but it's a team effort.
And I think finding people that are also interested in supporting us has been a very very valuable process, even in our leadership styles and growing in that space of being co-founders and thinking about where we want to take the company. We have to be able to grow we can't do it alone, right? You know
right.
what I'm saying? So to grow the way that we want to grow, we realize that we need to bring people in. So that's been a great process, and there's people that like have our back, and we call on when we need certain things, and that's really helped even out the workload as well.
Perfect. And with that being said, when do you guys think it's time to like back away from the real jobs and like take this full time, or like where do you guys see this going?
Sounds like a setup right here.
I know, right? I know.
Got the camera rolling.
I know,
like, let's put this on YouTube where I work and put me on the spot. No, I'm just kidding. Honestly, I think we want to make sure that whenever we see a ceiling not a ceiling in terms of like, I can't progress at my YouTube role because I'm doing this other thing, or we can't progress in the Toast Life side of things because of our other full-time role. I think we need to evaluate that, right? Okay. But as long as we're still progressing in both, then I think it makes sense to pursue both. But I think long term, we definitely considering going the Toast Life route. But I think we'll figure out when.
Yeah, I mean, I think, currently it's been like this for a while, but, they both support each other in some interesting way. So, I mean, when the point comes where like one no longer serves the other, I mean, of course, I, want to take my baby to the, see it grow, right? Yeah. So, I think it really comes down to a feeling. Okay. And, you take a measurement of the environment that you're in and what makes the most sense for you, and that's kind of how I know I'm going to approach it. And as long as me and Matt are continuing to communicate on what's best, I know that he has my back, and my guy's back too. So
okay, we're gonna play a game.
All right, let's do it.
So you guys heard of Cards Against Humanity?
Mm-hmm. I haven't played personally though.
Oh my gosh, okay, it's so much fun. So there is a tech version that I pulled offline. So this is how you play. I'm going to read a card, and what's going to happen is you're going to say like the word that you think best describes it, right? And then we will vote like as a threesome.
Okay.
We will vote as to who won that, all right? But we're going to do it as a speed round, so it's going to happen really fast. So you're not going to have a lot of time to think about it. You just have to say what it is, all right?
Shout out at the same time, or?
No, so we'll go in a circle. So I'll go first, you go, then you go, and then we'll say, okay, that was you, okay?
Okay, so we're just saying the word that based off of what you...
Exactly.
It has to be like one word, literally. It can't just be like a...
No.
All right.
Okay. I mean, it could be a phrase, but like not like a long situation. All right, so here we go. Ready? I'm going to time it.
Matt over here nervous. He's sweating. He don't know what's happening.
Okay. Hold on. Stop watch. All right. So we're going to go for 3 minutes.
All right. Let's do it.
All right.
Are these vetted questions? Have you?
All right. No, I've not even read them. Okay. So ready and go. What's my startup disrupting?
Wait, what?
No.
Wait.
Answer. What is your startup disrupting?
Oh, community.
What is your startup disrupting?
Creativity. I have one trying to answer that.
Cat. That's the last term.
All right.
It's disrupting the cat market.
Oh my goodness.
So they have to be like crazy. So that's like a test round.
Okay.
They have to be like crazy, outlandish answers, right?
Okay.
So, all right, we're gonna do it again. All right. So, what's my startup disrupting?
Peace.
Got it. Go.
So
I don't know.
Club game.
The club game. Okay.
Club game.
I'm gonna go with I don't know. Cats again.
Damn. Goodness. Take it back.
Okay.
She's gonna use cats literally for everyone.
No. Who do you think won?
You definitely won.
I won.
So I mean, there's like a hierarchy. Like on the creator side, you won.
Okay.
Cats, period.
All right. Me. Okay.
I mean,
cool.
Next.
Everyone loves cats, right? So I think
because of my investment in Bitcoin, soon I'll be able to afford.
Oh, hopping out that new Bugatti.
I want that jet, that PJ, private jet.
Cheetos.
Cheetos. Damn.
Come on, we losing.
No,
come on, we talking about cars, planes.
Right. And she just wants snacks.
She just want a little
snacks.
Got the munchies.
Like flaming hot Cheetos, or we talking like standard Cheetos?
You know, I just seen this picture. They got a hot Cheetos.
Wait, we're running out of time.
Oh, my bad.
You only have 3 minutes to one.
All right. I think I got that one.
You think you can't vote for yourself?
I'm gonna give it to Matt. You know,
Matt. Okay.
Private jet sound nice.
I'm gonna give it to you too, Matt. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks to the sharing economy, I can now make money renting out my. I say shoes. Go.
My snack cabinet.
Okay.
My pantry.
My fridge.
Okay. Who what?
Snack pantry, man. But I've seen his snack pantry.
Okay, you know what it is? Okay, I'm gonna go with the word. Okay. 1 minute left. The inspiration for my startup is
Kanye.
What is it?
Love.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yo. That is so weak.
Peace.
There you go.
Who won that?
I feel like she kind of like took mine a little bit.
Right.
I certainly
She
did.
gave my prop before she went, so I think I gotta win.
I'm gonna go with Kanye though. I think that's
Thank you.
hilarious.
Thank
Okay. So who do you think?
I'll give it to this guy.
Okay. Warren.
Easy,
Okay.
Easy season.
One more. My company was just acquired by.
Okay.
Barack Obama.
Okay.
Gatorade.
Nike. Who won that?
I won that. Clearly,
Yeah, you did.
best president ever.
All right. Warren. Okay, time. Good job, you guys. So Warren, you won all of them.
I mean,
I got 1, you got 1, and Warren got 3.
Got you.
I'm not surprised.
See some favoritism over here.
Hey, cool. So how can people find you guys?
You know, we're everywhere. No, I'm just playing. Popping up in a city near you, but you know, you can find us toastedlife.com, Instagram at toastedlife, Facebook, facebook.com/toastedparties. We're in the Twitter sphere a little bit.
Yep, that Toasted Life though.
Okay.
On Twitter.
Perfect.
Really interesting thing though. Obviously, we're scaling out, so we're going to different cities.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't exclude international cities.
Okay.
So right now we're kind of being scrappy with our database, trying to figure out where's the interest right now, and looks like we might be going abroad.
All right. Well, we will look out for that.
Yeah.
All right. It's Sequoia with Matt and Warren from Toasted Life on BE The Code. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Hey.
Hey.
Peace.